This is the Empowered Women Show, episode number 25.
Welcome to the Empowered Women Show, inspiring women with small voices but big dreams to step up and fulfill their extraordinary potential. And now your host, Casey Lightbody.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Women Show. I'm your host, Casey Lightbody, and I'm super excited to welcome on the show today Karen GUNTON. Now, Karen is, in her own words, a business alchemist and a badass rule breaker who never uses capitals. You just have to have a look at her website to really see that she stands out from the crowd as a result of this. She's passionate about helping women in business really hone in on their purpose and shine their light in this world. She started the Lighthouse Revolution as a call to action for entrepreneurs to not just build a business, but to really build a lighthouse, to start from within, to ignite their light, and to build everything else around that. She truly is a woman after my own heart, and I can't wait to dive in and share her story with you today. Karen, I'm absolutely thrilled that you're on the show today. I've been following your progress and I am a true admirer of your work. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really cool to be here because I love what this is all about. It's just awesome.
Thanks, Karen. Well, I know we are women on a mission and very aligned missions, and I can't wait to dive in. But I know you've got a really interesting story, one of that you started in teaching and you've come from Canada, and I'd love to kind of dive back to your past and really share, your journey and what that's looked like to the point that you are today leading the Lighthouse Revolution.
Sure. Well, as you said, I started out my career journey as a teacher, a science teacher, actually. So nothing like what I'm doing now. And I used to teach middle school, and that was my absolute passion. And, at the time I thought I would just be a teacher until the day I retired, because that's what I knew. That all the teachers that I still know to this day, they haven't changed careers. And I thought that's what I would do. And then I had, and I was one of those workaholic types, I was always at the school. Even on the weekends. And then I had a baby. And when I was at home with her, I just had this real feeling like I didn't want to go back to work full time. But that was completely out of my zone of understanding. Because like I said, all of my friends just sort of, did the maternity leave and went back to work. And it wasn't so much that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I just didn't really want to work outside of the home and, basically hire somebody to take care of my kids while I went to go and teach other kids. And not to say that's not the right choice for people, but it just really felt like that wasn't what I was meant to do. In hindsight now, of course, I can see why I felt like I shouldn't go back. But at the time, I wasn't really sure about how to, say out loud, I don't actually think I want to go back to my career. And it seemed like, kind of a waste, because of course we work hard, we go to university and we get the jobs and we're on the career path. But anyhow, we were living in Canada. That's where I'm from. And we were living in this sort of miserable city that I didn't like living in. And it was cold. And at the time, my husband was doing his PhD, and we knew that we'd be doing something else once he was done. So we had this crazy idea that we would spend the summer there in Canada living in a caravan at this caravan park, a motorhome, as we call it in Canada. And that would be fine. But, I was so stuck out in the outskirts of the city in this motorhome with like a 9-month-old baby, and the summer was just miserable. When I think about it, I think, what were we doing? But one day my husband came home and he said, he always wanted to be a doctor. That was his dream. And he didn't get into medical school in Canada. And, like here in Australia, it's very competitive. And he came home one day and said, I could go to this school in Adelaide, Australia. It's got an international program, and they really love Canadians going over there. What do you think? And I thought, I don't even know where Adelaide, Australia is. So, I got out the laptop and I Googled Adelaide and I saw what the weather was going to be like. And I said, yes. And I think he was quite prepared for this big fight, to convince me that this was a good idea. But for one, I knew that that was his dream, and I didn't want to be the reason that he didn't get to follow his dream. And of course, the weather appealed to me. But deep down, for me, it was kind of of a chance to run away because I wouldn't have to decide. It was like the decision was made for me. I would just not pursue my career while he pursued his. So I think it was a surprise to everybody that we knew that I just said, sure, let's move to Australia.
I love it.
And that was almost 10 years ago now. And once we got here, I really felt like there was something I needed to do that was my own thing. And I wanted to earn a bit of money of my own. I wasn't used to not being an earner, but I wasn't sure what it was. And in the meantime, I was really interested in photography and design, like scrapbook design and creating things with images. And one day somebody said to me, well, how much do you charge for that? And I just had this moment where I thought, oh, maybe this could be my thing. Like maybe I could have my own business. And as I said, I'd been a science teacher, so it's not like I knew anything about business, but I think as a teacher, you kind of dive into learning about stuff. And, that's what I did. Learning about business became my full-time job. And I started the photography business and eventually started a blog to share what I was learning about business with. I figured, if I was sitting in my home at my kitchen table trying to figure this out, there was other women out there doing the same. And I thought, I'll start this blog and I'll give it 6 months and no one else might read it except for my mom, but I'll do it anyways. And in that 6 months, that was in 2010, it just kind of grew like crazy. Like there was clearly a need for some information that would appeal to women at home, doing it on their spare time or doing it, instead of going back to work like I was. And yeah, that was the beginning of the business journey that I'm on now, because that blog, Build a Little Biz, grew and grew. And I tried experimenting with all different kinds of things that I could offer to women in business. And just recently I closed that blog down and went to my own home, which is KarenGunton.com, and started something called the Lighthouse Revolution, where I encourage women in business to not just build the business and worry about all the businessy stuff, but to build a lighthouse instead, because there's more to it. There's more that we have to build in order to really shine our light in the world. So yeah, so it's been a long, I suppose, more than 10-year journey that's brought me to where I am here. But I can see looking back that, everything has just led me to where I am, and it's worked out exactly as it was meant to.
As it was meant to, yeah. That's an incredible story, Karen, and I can resonate so much with it. I think maybe one of the kind of turning points in my life was having my eldest child, and remembering what it was like to actually work full time and having to drop him off. We immigrated as well. So I'm originally from Zimbabwe, moved to the UK and then came here. But, I was working full time and having to drop my little boy off at 6 o'clock in the morning in daycare and picking him up at 6:30 in that evening. And it was like, really, I wanted to spend more time with him, and so it was really, that was a pivotal point in my journey around taking the leap into the entrepreneurial world, if you like, so I can completely resonate with that. And I love, love, love what you're creating around the Lighthouse Revolution and, your own home, Karen Gunton. I've been on your site today. I couldn't get off it, actually. It was also interesting to read. And the thing that really struck me, I think, Karen, was really, as you say, it's not just building a business. There's so many other moving parts that's so important to actually creating and a business and both a life that you truly want to live, So for you, it feels like you've come home. It feels like you found your calling, And so I'd love to hear, in terms of women who know there's something missing. They know that they want to make this change and, create a business. For you, what would you say was the step that you took around not only just designing the business, but really identifying that this truly is your true calling, that you've come home to this lighthouse revolution?
Well, I think that one of the things that we have to remember is that this idea of sort of finding your purpose, what I call your purpose, you're igniting your light, as I say with a lighthouse, doing that work that we're here to do, that we're born here to do. it's actually not a destination. It's a journey. And so there was a period of time where I really felt like I had to figure out what that thing was. And what I realized is that if I could look sort of back on my journey and I could see all those little decisions I made, all those steps along the way, those moments, that stand out, the passions, the stuff that really lit me up. And I can see that they're pointing me in a direction. And so the work that I'm doing right now, I definitely feel is the closest to my soul's purpose that I've been. But I can honestly say that it wouldn't surprise me if it keeps evolving, because like I said, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I was going to A, not go back to teaching because that was my passion, B, leave Canada, which was my home, move to the other side of the world on my own and start an online business, I would have thought you were a crazy person. Like there was nothing in my whole world that could have ever pointed that was even a possibility. So I think the big thing is to, first of all, just give yourself permission. I've had to do that so many times to get to where I am. Permission to experiment, permission to change things, permission to shut an entire business down, which I've done multiple times, and start kind of with a clean slate and just keep taking those steps. What I say, steps towards the light, steps towards who you are and what you're meant to do. So that's a big thing. And I think if you kind of look at it almost like it's a bit of a puzzle, your journey isn't this linear thing. It's almost like a puzzle and you can't just sit and do it all at once. It's like one of those really crazy jigsaw puzzles. You've got to, sit and maybe put a few pieces together and then come back to it until the picture becomes clearer. And that's probably been the thing that's helped me the most, is actually taking some time to reflect, to think about where I've been and think about what lights me up, think about the work that I feel called to do, and just take little steps. It doesn't have to be this massive destination that we have to leap towards. You can take a little step. One of my favorite analogies of the lighthouse, and one of the things that really resonated with me when I started to think about the lighthouse as a symbol for what we're doing, is that if you think about a lighthouse, it doesn't have a ladder that goes straight to the top. It's got a spiral staircase. And those steps are little, you can take them more easily. And sure, yes, there's a lot of them. But when you think about being on a spiral staircase, every step you take, more appear. And so when you feel like you're just going in circles, or when you feel like, things aren't very clear, as long as you just keep taking little steps, that clarity will come and it will bring you closer to the top, and it'll bring you closer to your light, to who you are in the world and what you're meant to be doing. But it's our job just to keep going,
Absolutely.
To keep going closer to the light, keep being brave, finding ways to get yourself unstuck. That's part of our job here. No one tells you that when you start a business.
Exactly. I was going to touch on that.
I'll just, follow this magic set of steps and I'll start the, business and I'll get a logo and do all those things that you need to do. But nobody tells you about that other stuff, that all this stuff's going to come up that's going to make you feel like really scared and stuck and overwhelmed. And that's part of the journey that we're on.
Absolutely.
To figure that stuff out too.
And that is, for me, Karen, that was exactly what happened. It's so interesting. And I love what you talk about is that it's actually a journey that you're on, and that you never actually reaching a destination, because I found that too, is really that the path that I've been on is that I've got my marketing agency, and then I was called, like literally all those jigsaw puzzles started fitting in, and launching the Empowered Women Revolution really has brought me closer to my true calling too. But I can see, really looking back on my life and the choices that I've made over a period of time has really led me to this point. And yet who knows what the future brings, right? Because as you grow and in your own personal journey, you don't know where that's going to take you. But I think just trusting the process and taking those daily action steps is just so crucial. Karen, but I'd love to touch on that other stuff, because this is the stuff that no business consultants talk about. And really, it is something that is so crucial to you and the success of your business. And that's all around, managing your overwhelm, overcoming limiting beliefs, and really just getting out of your own way, I think. So for you, Karen, what are the steps that you took personally in that development, your personal development? And can you share any of that for our listeners today?
Yeah, well, I think that probably we all can probably relate to the story of having an idea for a business that has come from a passion or come from something that you're good at or talented with, or really just interested in that you want to share with the world, something you make or do or care about or find, whatever it is. And that certainly is how my photography business started too. And I spent a long time, learning about the business stuff and learning about branding and marketing. And as a visual person, as a photographer, I was really interested in the branding and marketing stuff. And I focused on that stuff for a long time and actually, teaching other people about that stuff as well. And I kind of got to a point actually where I'd lost my mojo a bit. I had the photography business. I had a blog that was really popular, but wasn't a business, and a photography business that was popular and was successful, but I'd lost my mojo for. And at that time, that's actually the inspiration for what I'm doing now with the Lighthouse. I came across a quote that said, it's by Anne Lamott, and it says, "Lighthouses don't go running all over an island looking for boats to save. They just stand there shining." And I saw that in 2012, and I just had this aha moment that was what I wanted. I wanted to stand there shining. And I realized that a missing piece for me was that idea of what it means to shine, to feel ignited, to feel lit up, and to find, what I say, find your spark. And we start with that in our business, but sometimes we can lose it over time, or sometimes we evolve and we don't let our businesses evolve. So the next step of my journey for me after, really learning about business was about, what do I need to do to feel ignited and to feel on purpose and to feel like I'm doing the work that I'm here to do. And so I did make some massive changes in my business. I actually shut down that photography business. I turned my blog into a full-time business, and things were much more successful. They resonated in a much more powerful way. I felt ignited and on purpose. And that was great. But then I still got to a point where felt like there were some missing pieces that people weren't teaching. And what happened for me actually was I came back to the Lighthouse, and this was about 18 months ago. And I came back to the Lighthouse as a symbol. And I thought, I've been thinking about, what it means to shine. But if all we build is the building, the business stuff, and we try to keep that light switched on, we still haven't got the lighthouse. We still haven't got that thing that stands tall and stands out and is solid and withstands, the storms and all that. And so I thought about what else there was to learn from the Lighthouse. And that's where what you were talking about has come in, that idea of that mindset and that ability to do something about the things that get you stuck. And so for me, the foundation is a symbol of that entrepreneurial mindset that we have to build. And as we said before, like, nobody tells you, but that doesn't magically appear when you start your business. Exactly. Like, you just don't magically feel worthy. You don't magically feel confident. You don't magically, feel bold and fearless. You have to actually build those building blocks in. That's part of our job, not just the business part of it, but the foundation. And then, as I mentioned, the other part is that spiral staircase, that you need to keep taking action, keep learning about, the kinds of stuff that gets you stuck and how you can overcome it. And then the other part of the Lighthouse too, for me, is the idea of it being a beacon, that you beam your signal out to the exact people who need and want what you do. And it's part of our job actually to make sure that we are getting what we do in front of those people. And that means we have to step out of that safe comfort zone and actually get it out in bold ways. So it's kind of, there's a lot of different pieces, and it can feel like there's so much to work on, but everything's actually really intertwined. And I always say that your business is a reflection of you. So when you're building your business, you're actually building yourself as well. And that's why we evolve. That's because what we're here to do is evolve and grow and learn. But if you're feeling stuck in your business in some way, it could be a reflection of something you've got to get unstuck for yourself.
That's right.
When we build ourselves, we build our business as well.
So true.
So we have to consciously consider the fact that part of our job here is to work on all that stuff, not just, how to market your business or how to, get your product out to the world, but all this other stuff that adds to that.
True. I so agree with you, Karen. And so in terms of from a personal perspective, what were the tools that you used to be able to, as you say, nurture that part of it, to build that foundation? Did you have a coach, a mentor? Did you study online? What were the things that you used to be able to evolve personally?
Well, I think because my background as a teacher and because I'm a teacher at heart, that's how I see the world as learning all the time. And so part of the way my brain works and part of what I do is I'm constantly trying to learn and study and see how I can take something and make it click, And so what I've done is just spend a lot of time thinking about little easy strategies that we can use just as we would use a business strategy, but that personal stuff. So, I'm always thinking about if I'm feeling unworthy, what could I do to actually change that? Not just sit here and feel unworthy, but like if you can learn how to be how to brand and how to market and how to sell, can we also learn how to feel worthy? Can we learn how to, not be so afraid? And so I'm constantly on the lookout for little people and strategies and tools. And I basically just have this like toolkit, full of little strategies that I use all the time. And I have also been part of various mastermind groups and coaching programs because I really feel like because I'm a lifelong learner, I think I'll always surround myself with people I can learn from. I myself have not had, like one coach that I've worked with constantly. I tend to more think about, okay, if I'm working right now, let's say I'm working, on something like money and money blocks and, getting through some of that money stuff, then I'll go find someone who's a real pro in that area. And then, 6 months later, I might be working on something else and then I'll go and find that. So that's worked well for me. But yeah, I think just as I said, even, just as we would invest in learning about some of the businessy stuff, we have to invest in our own personal stuff as well, that they need to go hand in hand.
Absolutely. I think that is just so important. And certainly for me, again, it was, I'd gone to all the effort of learning all that there was to learn about digital and online marketing. And, I had the business and I had the clients and really I still felt stuck. And then it was only then that I was like, oh my goodness, I actually have to work on myself now.
Yeah.
And it was a big shift. And once I did that, the momentum, as you said, the momentum completely shifts and you can start taking those daily action and just baby steps every day. I think it's so important. But you touched on something a while back, Karen, that I want to come back to, and that's around giving yourself permission. Now, I think this is especially hard for women that are trying to do it all. They're trying to be mums, they're trying to be wives and partners and homemakers and running the home as well as running a business. And I find that we're constantly in doing mode. It's always getting stuff done. And really from what I've heard from you is really you've taken the time to actually taking time to reflect, taking time to actually care for yourself and to honor the things that you really from your heart can feel and those kind of things. It's like tapping into your intuition. And I think that's a missing, it's almost like there's two parts to that. One is tapping into the intuition and giving yourself, and the other thing is actually physically giving yourself permission to do it, For our listeners as quite shy, sensitive women, I know that's something that we all struggle with, is giving ourselves permission. So what advice would you give around that? And how can we actually integrate that into our day to day?
Well, I think one thing that really helped me was to think about, like, in times that I felt really stuck or felt like maybe I should just give up or it's too hard or not doing any of this well. I've thought, what is my choice here? Like, do I give up? Is that an option? Or do I, what am I going to do here? And I realized for me that wasn't an option, that I wasn't going to ever be okay with not building my business and maybe going back to work full time or just not having, a business or a job at all for a while or whatever the options were. That was just not an option for me. that choice felt so heavy. It felt so restrictive that I thought that just can't happen. So realizing that the choice for me, I always ask the question, does it feel heavy or light? And that not doing this feels so heavy that I can't even consider that an option, which means that the choice that's light is the one where I keep working at this, where I keep pursuing this dream, where I keep listening to the call, that's that soul's purpose that I have. And I keep striving to grow and learn and change and be that person that I'm meant to be here in the world. So making that choice, it was almost like a little switch then flipped, because I thought, well, if that's the choice, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? Something's got to give. I can't possibly do it all. Something's got to give. I have to honor that choice. And by doing that, other people will as well. And that definitely started to make shifts in the support that I got at home, the way that I saw my time. It became easier to say no to doing laundry, while I was at home working, because that choice doesn't honor the work that I'm doing to build this. And so that was like the first little switch for me that I thought, no, I have to give myself permission. And that might mean changing the way that my day is run. It might mean changing my entire website. But if you don't give yourself permission, what's going to happen? What's the result?
That's right.
And if that feels so heavy that you can't possibly imagine it, then there's your answer right there. If you're going to choose what's light, if you're going to choose to keep working at it, then the next step is, what will it take? And you actually physically have to give yourself permission. No one else is going to come.
Exactly.
Because we're the boss now.
That's
we're
right.
We're in charge. There's nobody that's going to come up and pat you on the back and say, okay, Karen, you don't have to work on that anymore. Stop that project. You go do something else now that's more worthy of your time. Like, that's on us now. We made the choice to build this business. We're the boss, and we have to treat ourselves that way. We have to act like it. And the permission comes from us. That's part of our job too.
That's it. Exactly. I love it. And so, Karen, you said that this choice of, closing the business down felt so heavy to you that it just wasn't an option. And I totally get that too. It's like, there's no ways. I'm either becoming a stay-at-home mum or going back to work. It's just not happening, So for you though, what does it really mean to actually be a business owner, to be an entrepreneur, to be the boss? What has that meant for you, when you reflect back on your life now? What is it made possible and meant to?
Well, I think for me in the beginning, there was something there about feeling fulfilled. That's what sort of drove me in the beginning. That was kind of my why at the beginning, was to have my own thing and feel fulfilled. And that's still very important to me. Then there became a sense of freedom too, to be able to, make some money of my own that I didn't have to answer to anyone else about. And that was definitely a driving force, and freedom to have, that bit of financial freedom in our lives, but also freedom, to make my own choices, to not answer to other people. That's a big thing for me. To be my own boss, I think is quite a bringer of freedom. That's a big part of the freedom. But now I think that's evolved even more. Like, I can see that it's tied more to back to that idea of what my purpose is here and what I really believe in. And what I could see was that my business journey was about me finding my path in life and about me finding my purpose in life. And I think that it made me realize that my deeper why is that I believe that we are each here for a reason. We're born here for a reason. And I know that's a bit woo, but that's really what I believe. I believe we're each here with something to offer the world. And some people will do that through their careers, through volunteerism, charity work, through being a parent, maybe even in your relationships. But for those of us who have decided to build a business, I think there's a reason we've chosen that path, because our business is both the way that we'll find our purpose, and it's also the way that we'll fulfill it. It's the way that we'll share what we're here to do with the world. And we've chosen this path for a reason. And I believe that's why I chose the path. So I can actually see now that the reason why not not having a business is not an option for me is because it's tied to my purpose. It's tied to who I am. And for me, that's because I believe that we're here for a reason. So I think that my business will help others find and fulfill their purpose and shine their light in the world. And I know that's what I'm here to learn how to do, but it's also what I'm here to help others do. So I'm sure that I would probably still find the fulfillment and the freedom that I was getting when I started this business. But I can't think of another path that will help me to serve my purpose. To fulfill my soul's purpose. So I'm going to keep taking this path. I'm going to keep on this journey because I think if I tried to go back now, I would feel like I wasn't me anymore. Does that make sense?
Completely. Oh my goodness. I've got goosebumps. That totally does. It actually is just, you just described me, I think that's why I resonate so much with your message, look, I'm tearing up even. It's just incredible, So for you, Karen, what has that meant in terms of, how you're showing up in the world and being able to live your true purpose? What is that really, is there a specific moment in time that you can share with our audience? Because I've got a couple, is that being able to help other women, find their voice and share their message with the world. I've got those stories, and I'd love for you to just share how important that is, because I still am covered in goosebumps about the difference that we're making to women's lives. And I'd love for you to share that with our audience.
Well, this is kind of a recent thing. When I decided to start talking about the lighthouse as a symbol for my business, for what we're here to do, my blog was still Build a Little Biz, and I still very much in the space of teaching, sort of strategic things, talking a lot about the mindset stuff, but teaching strategic things. Like I was teaching how to do visual marketing, how to brand, how to, do Instagram and Pinterest. And I love teaching those things. But I very much felt like I was at a ceiling, like I wasn't stepping forward into the next phase. And so when I started to talk about the lighthouse as a symbol, that resonated in like a crazy powerful way that made me see, okay, I have no idea where this is going to take me. I have no idea how this is going to be part of my business, but I got to keep talking about it. And then about 6 months later, I decided, as you know, to close Build a Little Biz down and to focus on the Lighthouse Revolution under my own name. Partly, I chose that so that I could keep evolving. But and I decided to kind of take all the little strategies and all those little tools that I've figured out over the years of my own personal journey, how to keep taking action, how to get unstuck, how to, get your message out to the world in a powerful way. I decided to share all those little strategies in a program, which wasn't named even at the time. It's now called Illuminate. But when I first did the program, I did it as a pure, trial to see what would become. And I thought that it was a really good mix of strategic and soulful, and stuff that was really actionable and stuff that would really make you feel like you had the tools in your back pocket to actually grow and take action, but that you had that soulful, heartful support as well. So, and the girls that were in that program were fantastic. But the most amazing thing happened when we were doing at the end of sort of our weeks, the first round of that program, and at the end of doing all the different strategies and all of the chats we had, I had some one-on-one sessions with some of those ladies, and all of them, what it boiled down to was the same thing, which each of them felt after our time together, that they could see that their purpose was bigger. Makes me teary to think about it. Was bigger than they ever thought it could be. They could see that who they were in the world was bigger than what they'd ever thought of themselves. They saw themselves in a new way. And they could see that they're, as we've been talking about, that their path that they're on, the journey that they're on, has led them to a place where they can, if they're ready to take the leap, step into some things that will absolutely open up their journey, open up their purpose, put their work into the world in a really big, amazing way. And by big, amazing, I don't necessarily mean, worldwide phenomena. I mean, in a big way that's going to make a huge difference to somebody out there who needs what they do. And that was so surprising to me that message came up over and over again, that how they saw themselves had changed, how they could see what their purpose, their why, that mission could be bigger and even more amazing and beautiful than what they ever, first had thought. And that for me was a moment where I realized that this work, this idea of the lighthouse and who we are in the world and what we're meant to do is really important. And that, each time one person feels like they've got permission to put their message out there, permission to be themselves, permission to be themselves, permission to think big, think that, have a bigger vision for themselves in their life. Well, that just keeps me going. It makes me just remember that I've got to keep doing that too.
Exactly.
That I've got to keep getting the message out there.
Well, it's like Marianne Williamson's quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but as you shine the light on yourself, you give permission for others to shine the light on them. So it's just so true. And I love that, Karen. I just love your mission. And, it's just been incredible. Wow. Now that we're filled with inspiration, I know it's no easy sailing. And, as you say, we've got to step up. We've got to step off the sidelines and we've really got to get on the court and actually play if we're really wanting to fulfill our true purpose in the world, our callings. And, it's scary, and especially for quiet women who really struggle with being bold, is, what challenges have you, and I know there's many, but really, Karen, can you share one major challenge that you've experienced in your journey so far and the lessons that you've learned from it?
Well, I will say this, that I've always been the kind of person who I felt quite fearless. Like, I think we all have gifts that we bring. And so we have natural building blocks for our foundation, and we have natural, ability in some ways to deal with stuff and get unstuck, and we can build on that. And then we can add other stuff in that we need to work on. But for me, I think I've always been a fairly bold person, that I've kind of like, this is who I am world, and like it or leave it. This is who I am. And I've been that way from the beginning. As as a follower, since I started Build a Little Biz, I did this thing at the very beginning where I was writing blog posts and I was trying to be really professional, and I was trying to, do what I thought it had to be. And, at the time, my only reader was my mom. And so it didn't really matter. But what I did is I gave myself permission to be me. And for me, that was not using capitals, because I'd been, on my own, working from home for so long that I just never used capitals in any of my typing. And so when I would read my blog post back to myself, it didn't feel like me. And I thought, this is stupid. Like, who cares? My mom is the only person reading this stuff. I have no idea, what this blog is going to be. But I know one thing for sure. If I keep trying to write like someone else, I'm not going to keep it going. So I thought, screw it. I'm giving myself permission to be me. No capitals. That's how it's going to be. And so to this day, I get messages, from people who will say, oh, I like what you're writing about, but I can't stand the fact that you don't use capitals. And I just say, go then. There's so many people talking about amazing things online. You do not need me. But this really powerful thing happened when I gave myself permission to be me and write with no capitals. As you said, it gave other people permission to do the same, to embrace whatever makes them strange or weird or different, or maybe, breaks some sort of unwritten rule. And so what I found is that the people who it resonated with, the fact that I was doing no capitals, they're like, I can do what I want to do. Yeah. This woman can do that. Those are the people who've obviously become, my part of my circle and my ideal readers and customers. So I've been doing that for a long time. But what's interesting is that I have to push myself every single day to do the thing that's me, to do the thing that's, fearless and bold and is like, I don't care if I'm breaking rules here. I don't care if people don't like it. Because what I believe is that what happens is that when we stay where it's comfortable, it's boring. It's bland. It might, you might be trying to appeal to everybody, but what happens is you actually don't really appeal to anybody. If you haven't got people telling you that they hate you, then you probably haven't also got people who love you. And so every day you have to do the thing that pushes you a little bit outside of your comfort zone, that risks, that people won't like it and won't like you, and trust that that's exactly what the right thing to do is. And just recently, I've had that again where I shared a blog post that's a bit opinionated and
I read that. That was awesome.
Read that today. and I don't usually swear a lot in my writing. But on this one, I did for a reason, because it was inspired by another blog post. Anyhow, so this post contains swear words, and it touches on a controversial topic, I suppose, that's really important to me, and which made me realize, all the more reason why I've got to fight for my purpose, fight for the reason why people deserve to shine their light exactly as they are. And so I wrote this really passionate post, and I knew that it was going to be polarizing. But what I didn't expect is to have somebody come and ask for a refund from the program that they just joined, which was quite a significant financial refund, and to deal with the kinds of comments that I got about that. So I was prepared for some people to not like it and to click away, but I wasn't quite prepared to, for the consequence is that I actually ended up then losing some money.
Yeah.
So I think that that's been a big lesson for me this week, that automatically, your brain goes to a place of, that little, I call it your inner dragon, that pet dragon who says, see, I told you, if you were going to, be big and bold, that bad things would happen. And so I've had to turn to my inner dragon and say, shh, stop it. I know you're trying to keep me safe and small, but that's not necessary. It's not necessary. I can keep going forward, being bold and big and noisy and myself, and saying, this is what I care about. Damn it. This is my mission, and I will talk about it. I will talk about it, even if it means some people take their money and go. So it's interesting for you to ask that question this week, because it's come up in a very, very big way for me, but I just see it as a lesson. I always say, what am I here to learn from this? And in this case, it's to tell that inner dragon to piss off, go sit in the corner and be quiet.
Exactly.
I know that it's just a sign that I've got to keep pushing, that it's not going to serve my grander purpose to stay safe and small. And so I won't.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Karen, what an amazing lesson. And I love that you actually take that it's not a failure, that it's nothing that you've done wrong, that you actually have, again, taking it as a lesson that you've learned, that you've turned it around and asked, well, what can I learn from this? And that taken it as a reason for you to push forward, And I resonated. I read that post and it was incredible, because everything that you've been talking about, that, what your true purpose is, the reason that you have been put on this earth is to be able to shine the light on others. And really, what you were talking about there is everyone else is here for a reason too, and I think that's incredible. Wow, this has been an amazing conversation. I'd love to dive into our lightning round now. This is three just really quick questions. The first one is, do you have a business quote or life quote that you live by?
Well, I have lots, because that's kind of my thing. quotes and lyrics and music, and all. That's what gives me like so many messages and reminders. But probably the one I use most often in my business is something I got from Seth Godin, and that is, it's not a tattoo. This, what you're doing right now with your business, your brand, your products, your marketing, whatever it is, it's not a tattoo. You can change it. You can learn as you go. You can make it better. You can tweak it. You can stop it. You can toss it out the window. It's not a tattoo. So just put it out there, make the change, see what happens, and keep making it more excellent.
That's great advice. I absolutely love it. I haven't heard I haven't heard that quote before, actually, but I think that's really, really cool quote.
You.
I love it.
It's not a tattoo.
It's not a tattoo. I love that. And giving yourself and I was going to touch on that, but I know we're really short of time, but the whole idea that you actually, the challenges that, and really that you took to actually close down your other businesses, to give yourself permission to recognize that wasn't the path that you wanted to take and to follow something else. Is like, that is that's the thing. You've got to be in the game, right? You've just got to be on the court, constantly trying and adapting and tweaking. And as you say, the path's not a straight path. It's going to be a spiral staircase, and just trust the process. I love that. In terms of women, because we both love helping women specifically, do you have one particular woman in mind that really inspires you, and why?
Well, I have lots of women that inspire me for lots of different reasons, but one that comes to mind right now that I've been following is Lisa Messenger, who does the Collective magazine. And I was lucky enough to hear her speak late last year, and to read her books and things. I just think she's such a great example of somebody who's doing really awesome things. She's such an example of that lighthouse, that I'm striving to be and I'm helping others to be. And she's so down to earth and so humble. And it's just such a reminder that, one of her big messages is that we're all just people. We're all equal. We're all just people. And if she can go out and do the things she's done, and if you spoke to her, you would know she just sees herself as an everyday person. There's nothing stopping any of us from being a lighthouse in whatever niche that we're in whatever industry that we're in our little circle or our tribe. I think she's
phenomenal. I mean, I've been following her as well. She is truly, as you say, she's just so authentic and down to earth and real, and just, it just, if she's capable of meeting Anna Wintour, who she's just met, how incredible, it's just, she really is, she's very inspirational. But that really leads me on to the next question that I've got for you, Karen, is really, what do you think, What do you think is holding women back? What do you think is the biggest barrier for female entrepreneurs today?
Ourselves. It's us. There is nothing stopping us but ourselves. We're here on this journey to grow and to learn and to challenge ourselves and to overcome challenges, to overcome the shit that is holding us back. And so we have two choices. We can stay in the stuck, small, safe place, and with that call tapping us on the shoulder and making us feel like we're missing out on something every single day, or we can take a step forward and we can choose to go towards the light. We can choose to say, I will overcome this. I'll figure this out. I will get better. I will feel worthy, or I will, feel fearless, or I will not care if people don't like me. I will make that choice. And until we choose that, until we choose us, until we choose our dream, until we choose that thing that we feel called to do, we're always going to feel like we're held back. It's our choice, ours.
Karen, that was just unbelievable. It's been an amazing interview today. Thank you so much. And I'd love to direct people, if they choose to make a difference to their lives, where can they find you online?
Well, my site is KarenGunton.com, and there you will find a link to join the Lighthouse Revolution if you'd like, and join a number of other lighthouse keepers who are doing the work and sharing inspiration and ideas. And through the Lighthouse Revolution, I do, free classes online, and I do some live calls with really cool people. And I've got a little free group forum that, I'm always hanging out on. You can come and say hi and ask questions. I'll answer anything. I'm an open book. And I would love for your listeners to feel, if they feel like the Lighthouse resonates for them as a symbol, to come and join us at the Lighthouse Revolution, which you can find again at KarenGunton.com.
Well, Karen, it's been incredible. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me and let me ramble on about all this stuff. It was really inspiring. I'm glad that we both got teary-eyed. I feel like I'm in the right place.
That's incredible. Thanks, Karen.
Bye.
And that wraps up another episode of the Empowered Women Show. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And if you have a chance and you enjoyed this episode, it would really mean the world to me if you would head on over to iTunes and leave me an honest rating and review of the show. That way, you'll help boost rankings and really shine the spotlight on these amazing women guests. You'll find the link in the show notes over at www.empoweredwomenrevolution.com. Thank you so much and see you next time.